How's it going, folks? Sorry. Doing the whole messaging thing. Hope everybody's doing well today. So today we're painting some Masters of Possession. So first thing before I go ahead and get to... oh crap. Where's my paper towel? I didn't dab off my wet palette, so... Bad, James, bad. You gotta dab off your wet palette. Got way too much water on it right now. There we go. But first thing before I get pressing with the Master of Executions, I noticed yesterday when I was playing my Demon Prince, he's gotten a few chips in his paint, so I need to go ahead and just hit a few spots with black that have rubbed away over time. So, just gonna do this really quick. Shouldn't take more than a couple seconds. So I hope everybody's doing good today. So we are doing the normal live stream at 11 Eastern still. But right now I am trying to get some models ready for a list that I am running at an RTT in January. So I've realized the importance of getting the lists ready that you intend to play rather than painting what you want. So, but yeah, I'm just hitting up the ends of this Demon Prince's wings real quick with some black because he's gotten some chips and from wearing and rubbing around and yada yada, you know. I need to actually go and I've been really bad about doing the varnish over my models. I should probably go through and varnish a lot of my models. But it's like my Plague Bearers, none of them chip. I want to say that I varnished this guy though, but he still chips, so he gets rub marks and stuff. There we go. Fix the Demon Prince up. Dunsies. So. Soothing. My wife's sick right now. So she's messaging me. She doesn't feel well. But, alright, so we have fixed up that Demon Prince, so now I'm going to get on with my 2 Master of Execution. So, y'all will notice that these are conversions that I made. So this one is going to be Khorne only, because he's got the Khorne shoulder pad and the Berserker helm. And I think his chest piece has the Khorne symbol too. And then this one right here is my more general purpose guy. So I scraped anything off of him to give him marks of whatever. Now I am going to paint them both exactly the same way. So I kind of sat here and contemplated how I was going to paint these. And I'm going to start off with Hashut Copper. Hashut Copper. So this is going to be my base layer for all the armor. The big parts of the armor, not all the trim and stuff. So all the trim, I'm going to do red. This is going to be copper and red. Now I thought, like, okay, this looks kind of corny, but it kind of goes along with it's going to be slightly different color than my other models. So if you guys have been following the channel for any period of time, you know that I'm a big believer in the candied red models. So I'm kind of going to do that. I'm going to actually put contrast red over the copper, and it's going to give it as I threw my dropper bottle. It's going to give it a slightly different tone. And yeah, so I wanted to make it to where I can make one of these guys mark of whatever, and the other one's going to be mark of Khorne, obviously, all the time. Alright. So there we go. Got the paint down. Where's my... thin brush. So I've also decided that in the new year, when I get back from my leave, visiting the wife, that I am going to buy new paintbrushes and more paint. So no more models. I need more paint and paintbrushes. I am currently in discussions though with somebody to acquire a bunch of Night Lord stuff. So stay tuned on that one. And buy a bunch of Night Lords. It's a crap load of Raptors. Man, I didn't mix this up enough. It's still super watery. I need more pigment. I'm gonna set that upside down. So let's see if I can mix this up some more. Because it's still super, super watery right now. I mean, if I gotta go over the guide multiple times, but... And so I'm just gonna hit this entire model with this. I'm gonna try to avoid the chains and stuff because those are obviously gonna be different colors, but try to get the whole model. Yeah, it's still super watery. I don't like it. I don't like when my paints are too watery. But it is what it is, right? So another thing I've realized that I much rather paint straight from the pot. So I'm going to stop putting my paints in dropper bottles in the new year. I mean, I guess I could still put them in dropper bottles. I just need to like put a lot less water. You know what I mean? So when I put these in the dropper bottles, I actually watered them down pretty heavily. And I mean, this was a year and a half ago now, I'd say. About a year ago. Yeah, it was about a year ago. But and so I mean, I've learned a lot of things since then, as far as painting and you know, mixing your pigments with water and the need for stuff like medium. So medium is very good. So, but yeah, so in the new year, I think I'm gonna do that as well. Yeah. So just hitting up this entire model. Basically anywhere that's going to be a flat armor plate, or avoiding the cloak if I can. I mean, I'm going to touch up the paints anyway, right? But yeah, so for you guys out there, I will be doing the live stream here in another hour or so, I think. Might be an hour and a half. Yeah, it's like an hour and a half. But right now, I just wanted to paint some, so hop on the YouTubes and paint a little bit. I seem to get a lot of people at night when I do this, though. Yeah, go ahead and do that. Oh, man. Hey, somebody came in and gave me a like. That's neat. But, yeah. I don't know, these paint streams have been a lot of fun. I haven't had too many people hanging out lately, though, but then again, I've been doing paint streams at really odd hours. Really, really odd hours. So I get it. And it's super early in the morning right now. Well, here in the United States, it's super early. I know overseas it's not super early, depending on where you're at. All right. Yeah. Trying to get around his collar right now. Gotta get back behind this armor here. So what I'm going to do is once I get this copper onto both models, let it dry. I might have to do a second coat of copper. And then I'm going to do all the armor trim. And I'm going to wash the entire model. Because I think I'm just going to do Nuln Oil to keep it easy. And then once the Nuln Oil dries, then I can go ahead. So like I said, these guys are going to have the contrast red over the metal panels. So what it'll do is it'll actually turn the armor red, and it'll still be shiny, but it'll be a different tone from the rest of my models. And so it still matches my army scheme. So I've been painting everything this way. Like literally everything this way. But yeah. Sorry, I'm like trying to think of what was I trying to say just now. But yeah, so to differentiate stuff, you know, I'm gonna have to either do I don't know. I'm gonna have to figure out a way to differentiate if I'm gonna take stuff to an event. I might just paint the rims of the bases, you know. Because really it'll be because HQs are HQs, you know. Like I don't think I'll have multiple Chaos Lords from different factions running around on the field, but like when it comes to the Chaos Space Marines or whatever, then that's where I need to differentiate. So also the new ITC rules, they want you to have a cohesive theme, so basically not have a mishmash of different colors, you know, which I get, 100% get. They're trying to get away from people like just having these awfully painted like rainbow armies because you borrowed models from like 12 different people. But I think at the same time though, it kind of hurts the hobby a bit because not everybody can afford every model. Now it does ultimately hurt the meta chasers because you can't just go borrow your buddy's Centurions and then this guy's whatever and then this guy's whatever. So I mean that aspect's good. I like that aspect, but it hurts people like who legitimately own all their models, and you know, some people like to paint their stuff wonky ways. But so I'm trying to keep with a cohesive theme throughout all my Chaos Space Marine stuff, with the same basic armor color, and then I'm just going to have to get clever with the ways that I differentiate. So whether it be painting certain parts of the model differently, which for like my Venom crawlers I painted their gems all different colors. So that helps differentiate for my opponent. Like I'm going to shoot the one with the purple gems or the one with the blue gems. And then B, I can use it for different stuff. I was spelling soothing wrong. My wife's making fun of me. Sorry. All right, but yeah, it's early this morning. I can tell nobody's out there, so I'm basically just going over this guy real quick because the paint, because it is so thin, is pulling real bad in some areas, and I don't want it to darken up in the crevices because I don't want it to be like a wash. That was not the intent of doing this, so I'm going to go over the entire model and just kind of drag A to like completely cover the model, and B to get some of this super watered down copper out of places. So my copper is really watery just because I put way too much water in it when I put it in the pot. So that's part of why I like to just do it straight from the pot, because I seem to put way too much water when I mix stuff into the pots. Like, it's a lot easier if I just add the water on my palette, you know? So I think that's part of why I'm going to get away from these dropper bottles. Alright. There we go. Much better. Much better. Alright, so let him dry up. And while he dries up, let's go ahead and tackle the other. So for those of y'all, well, I know I'm by myself still. So for those of y'all who are coming back for the live stream today, where'd my copper go? Seriously, yo. Where'd my copper go? That's my gold. That's my bronze. Is that my copper? That is not my copper. Where is it? No, that's gold. That is totally gold. Oh, there it is. That's right. I put it upside down to mix the pigment up. But yeah, so today I won't quite be tackling the meta stuff, mostly because we're about to go into the holidays and things are going to be vastly different when we come back. So I know there's been a few GTs, so I'm gonna talk about my GT and the list that I took and just kind of the way going forward. Some lists that I'm tinkering with, and just kind of open it up to a lot of questions and just discussion, right? So I don't want today's actual live stream to be about, who's running what, where, when, why, because after the holidays, things will be a lot different. Also, a lot of things are in flux, we just got the... Hell yeah, there we go. See, now my paint mixed up. Much better. Oh my god. Yeah, so much better. So as you guys can see, it's actually like paint now. But yeah, I should have mixed that other one up a lot better. Why am I using this little one? Let me use my broad brush. But so yeah, we just got the new Faith and Fury, the Blood of Baal book, which is actually very, very, very good. A lot better than a lot of people are giving it credit for. The Tyranid stuff is not being talked about nearly as much. Now, I have the book. Somebody gave me a copy of it, and I don't know. I don't play Tyranids, so looking at it, it looks like not impressive, But thinking about it, because you can basically give units warlord traits, which is really cool. I like that. um, because like that's just tremendously cool and definitely Tyranny, because their whole thing is not about the big monsters so much as the faction as a whole. So that definitely plays into like their lore and their fluff and the way that they should operate on the table, Um, so I can definitely see some craziness going on with like Gene Stealers and some of those traits that you can give them. But I don't know, like the rest of them though, it seemed kind of underwhelming. A lot of the big like the Monster Mash style stuff doesn't seem as I don't know, impactful as I figured it would be. Um, Also, I kind of wish like so with the assigning the warlord traits, for the Tyranids, if you've got like a brood of Carnifexes, it doesn't affect the brood; it affects one model. So I don't know, I think it would have been a lot cooler, like to be like this brood of Carnifexes has this biomorph adaptation or whatever it's called. Um, I thought that would have been pretty neat. But I'm sure Tyranid players out there are happy. I'm sure that they're going to come up with cool stuff. I really can't wait to see what they come up with. And anything that varies the meta beyond just being a crap load of Marines is a good thing. So, like, people are, saying, oh, well. And it's funny, too, because everybody wasn't really talking about the Eldar stuff. And now that the Eldar players are kind of getting in the swing of things, you're seeing a lot more Eldar running around with using the Faith and Fury. Or, not Faith and Fury. I keep saying Faith and Fury because that's our book. But the Psychic Awakening stuff. But, yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to see how people are slowly latching onto these new books and seeing the power and finding the powerful combos within it, Drukhari, that +1 to wound vehicles thing is gross. Absolutely gross. And I believe, I think it even affects stuff like disintegrators. Now, I don't think it works against monstrous creatures. I don't know. Nobody's here to help correct me, but but it's still really, really strong. Getting this copper on this guy, and we're starting to see a lot more Eldar players, and they're definitely gravitating towards this stuff. I actually faced one Eldar player at this GT, and he was using a lot of the Faith and Fury stuff with Shining Spears. So Shining Spears are definitely seeing a resurgence, and they are very good. They're very, very, very hard-hitting units. You just need to have something that can absorb them and then swing back just as hard. So, which that's pretty much what happened. He charged into Magnus turn 1, and he rolled really poorly for his attacks, like really bad with the one unit, and he took the new Exarch power withdraw, which I believe allows them to fall back and charge in the next turn. So he took the invulnerable save off the lead bike dude, and Magnus swung and just clobbered like 90% of the unit. And then I finished it off in my turn. So, and then he had a second unit of Shining Spears, which he got all the buffs on. But Smites took him out. So, Smites and a Magnus charge pretty much killed all but a few. I think there was like 2 or 3 left. And then at that point, all he did was he just used him as like an annoyance unit, like fall back and then shot at some stuff. I think he picked up a character with him. Poxbringer or something, but then I finished him off, and but it was really cool to see Shining Spears out. He had a bunch of Dark Reapers too, which by the way, Dark Reapers with a 42-inch range is no joke. because I'm used to them having 36-inch guns. And then he let me know, he's like, oh yeah, so by the way, I took this new thing. It increased the range by 6. I was like, okay, cool. And he placed them all the way on like the table edge and was able to hit a majority of my army with them. And I was like, oh, well, crap. So, yeah, Dark Reapers having that extended range was actually a huge, huge, huge thing, you know. Because measuring it out, you can actually keep them out of range of pretty much all the small arms fire. If there's like ruins that they can hang out in, you know, you can fire and fade the unit up on top of the ruin and then back inside. So I got kind of lucky. Well, the thing is, like, all my firepower is all line of sight ignoring. So even were he on the bottom of a floor, it wouldn't have done anything. Because all my shooting would have pretty much been able to reach him. But it was a really good game. Mike was a great opponent. All right. So I got the copper on both of them. Let me go ahead and hit this guy with copper one more time, because his armor is definitely did not wasn't thick enough, so you can see all the white coming through on it, you know. But yeah, I'm going to talk all about the GT here shortly. It's going to be a lot of fun. And like I said, I want to have a kind of an open discussion of what y'all are out there testing out with Faith and Fury. And yesterday I played a game, which I didn't take a battle report of this at all, but it was a lot of fun. A few guys showed up at the shop. Me and my buddy Thomas, which he plays the Tau on the channel, and he showed up and he's like, yeah, you know, we've been playing each other a lot. Let's wait for some other guys. I was like, okay, cool. So some other guys showed up and they were supposed to play, and we asked, you know, oh hey, do you guys want to just like play different people? Because Thomas had never played Todd and I've never played the other guy. And I think his name is Morgan. But they're like, oh, why don't we just do a 4-player game? So we did 2 versus 2, 2,000 points apiece, because that's what everybody had brought. And I created a custom scenario. Basically, I sat out objectives in the middle. So 2 objectives in like 18 inches from the table edge. So we sat the tables side by side with the 2 battle mats. And then I sat 4 objectives that were different colors in the middle of the tables. And then each player got 2 objectives that they could deploy anywhere on their table. And so basically you played as a team. You could interact with the other table. So you could shoot to the other table or whatever you wanted. But at deployment, you had to deploy on your table, because basically you both had a deployment zone. And then when you rolled for first, you actually rolled together and then added the results of your dice to see who went first. And then obviously, because we did 1-on-1 deployment, so if you're I was like, well, you know, we got to give the +1 to somebody. So I was like, okay, so for each table, whoever finishes deploying first, you get a +1 up to a maximum of +1. So essentially, like, if you both had an army that finished deploying first, it was a wash and it was just a roll off. So it ended up being a wash, and then because I finished deploying first against Todd, and then Thomas finished deploying first against Morgan. So we rolled for teams, and it ended up being me and Morgan versus Thomas and Todd. And so it was kind of funny because Todd was playing guard, and so I was like, you're renegade guard for this game. So I was like, all your guys just took out eye patches and put them on. So that way they're evil. Evil eye patch guard. So he laughed at it. He's like, okay, I'm renegade guard for this game. And I was playing a cool list that I kind of tinkered with on Battlescribe, and I really liked the idea of it. And when you really like an idea, you gotta at least try it out. And I really, really enjoyed the list. So I guess I'll do a breakdown of the game. All right, so got all the copper on this guy. These guys got to drive for a few seconds. That way, let me see if we got to. Should probably put another layer of copper on him too. So I got paired up against Todd on a reasonably. So there was a building in the middle, and it was pretty open on the other side of the table. I think there was just an area piece of terrain, and there was a bunch of ruins in our deployment zones. He had a Shadow Sword, a bunch of Leman Russes. So he had one tank commander, I believe, and a Leman Russ squadron, or just a bunch of Leman Russes, something like that. Yeah, something like that. And, oh no, because he was hitting on threes with a few of them. So maybe it was like 2 tank commanders and 2 normal Leman Russes. I can't remember. But he had a Eradicator or Executioner, the one with all the plasma guns. And then he had the Relic Battle Cannon, which everybody hates to face, and then a normal Battle Cannon one, and then he had a Shadow Sword, which I have not faced a Shadow Sword in a very long time. I forgot how much those things hurt. And then a bunch of just specialist guard squads, a unit of Ogryn, so and then a Tarox command battle tank or command tank or something like that. Basically a tank that allows other tanks to reroll all their hits. And so he had he had Cadian Guard for basically anything that wasn't a tank commander, and then his Shadow Sword and his tank commanders were Catachan. So it was a pretty cool list, because that way he could reroll the number of shots for pretty much all the battle cannons and stuff. Yeah. That's exactly. So, but anyways, so for my Death Guard list, so yes, I was running a Death Guard list. So it was a mix of Death Guard and Alpha Legion. So I really like the idea because obviously Alpha Legion plays very well with things that can move forward and live. So I was like, you know what? With all the Faith and Fury drops, or with all the chapter approved drops, I'm going to go ahead and try some Poxwalkers. So I ran Typhus. It ended up being like 42 Poxwalkers. It was 3 units of 14. 3 Plague Burst Crawlers, and 2 Foul Blight Spawns. And then for the other detachment, which was another battalion, I had 3 Obliterators, 3 units of Cultists. Oh, sorry, the other HQ and the other was Demon Prince of Nurgle with all of the bells and whistles, the normal stuff. And then in the other battalion, it was 3 Obliterators, and then I had 3 units of Cultists. I ran a Dark Apostle, a Hellforged Scorpius, and a Demon Prince of Slaanesh, and I used We Are Alfarius to make him another Warlord, and then I gave him the -1 trait and the Elixir. So I have yet to play a Prince with the Elixir, and I will tell you, I really like that Prince a lot, especially with the -1 to hit. He's actually incredibly brutal. -2 to hit, and then he's Slaanesh. So I gave him Prescience, because I was thinking that he's going to kind of be wandering up, and then I can deep strike the Obliterators near him to get the reroll 1s, and then cast Prescience on them, so that way they're hitting on 2s. So it was a really cool list. I really enjoyed it a lot. The game kind of boiled down to I ignored his Shadow Sword. So I'll tell you, the best way to beat a Shadow Sword is to ignore it until you absolutely have to take care of it. Because Shadow Swords are good at one thing, and that's killing tanks, right? And so, obviously, by my list, other than the Scorpius and the 3 PBCs, I didn't really have many tanks. So I focused on things that did a lot more damage, a lot more damage that were easier to kill because I kind of wanted to keep the demon princes around. So basically, as long as I kept something in front of the shadow sword, he couldn't really target the demon princes. So turn 1, he kills a plague burst crawler, knocks 1 to half, and then kills. That was about it because his Pask ended up being out of range because he mismeasured, so he didn't move far enough forward because he was trying to double tap, So at this point, we've gone ahead and we've gotten all the copper on both the executions. Master of Executions. There we go. Ooh, this is pulling up real bad. Hold on a sec. Okay. Just the paint on his base coat. But so turn 1, he kills a PBC. He knocks 1 to half. I'm gonna let these dry for a few seconds while I talk. Knocks 1 to half, and that was about it. I was like, okay, that's not bad. On my partner's side, right? So it was Tau against Guard, and so Morgan had brought a bunch of Leman Russes and a couple of Valkyries and like 2 Knight Armigers. And then a crap load of mortar teams and last cannon teams and all that stuff. And then Thomas was bringing his Riptides. So he brought 3 Riptides, a bunch of drones, and some... he had went and bought some... what are they? Oh, the battle suits. Yeah, battle suits. And so on my partner's side, he had lost a Valkyrie and some squads, right? And so the way that our mission was working, that I set it up, so basically the middle objectives that were pre-placed were worth 2 points a turn if you held them. And then the ones that we placed were worth 1 point, and then you got 1 point for each unit you killed. So it was cool because it was like kill points, but you still wanted to kind of press forward and get those 2-point objectives. So they had a really good first turn. Our turn rolls around. I think I end up killing... I think I killed some infantry squads, and that was about it. I didn't really do much damage. The Foul Blight spawns were out of range of anything. I kind of positioned the Pox Walker squads to like move up and hold some objectives. Now the Hellforged Scorpius and the mortars from the 2 remaining PPCs, those actually ended up killing his command squad. So he had like a command squad hiding out in back. And the Scorpius actually just completely eliminated that squad, like real bad. And then between the 2 mortars from the PVCs that were left, and then I shot the Scorpius once into that, the Torox command tank, because I wanted to remove the rerolls. Basically, I had it parked near the Shadow Sword to always give it rerolls, right? Which was like, I don't want this happening. Because I forgot Shadow Swords hit on 4s. So I was like, yeah, if I can remove the rerolls, that's going to drastically reduce its efficiency, right? Yet again, I was ignoring the Shadow Sword. So I killed that, and on Morgan's side, I think he killed like a bunch of drones. That was kind of like his turn. So at this point, we're pretty much tied. Turn 2 rolls around, and he goes ahead and pops his Relic of Lost Cadia, which I hate that damn relic. Which, that reminds me, does that work on non-Cadian models? I'm going to have to look that up. But, so he pops it, and all Pask and his 2 tank commanders ended up being in range of it. And I think that was it. Yeah. Because his Executioner, he put on, like kind of in the corner. He wanted it positioned that way, like when he killed stuff on that side of the table, he could turn it and shoot at the other table. So, he unloads on me, and I had gotten miasma up on my fully not wounded PBC. He ends up killing my Hellforged Scorpius with the Volcano Cannon. So he had to actually move the Shadow Sword back to see around a building, and then he shot at the Scorpius with his Volcano Cannon. Now, you might think that that's a waste, but he couldn't actually see the Plague Burst Crawlers with that. Then he sends the last cannons... Or no, he could see the Plague Burst Crawler that was at -1 to hit. So he's like, well, I can shoot the Volcano Cannon there hitting on 5s, or I could kill this. So he kills that, shoots the last cannons at the PPC. I think he does like 2 wounds to it. Then he shoots the non-relic... Or no, he shoots the non-relic battle cannon into it. And I roll terribly for my saves, and he rolls a ton of wounds because of all the rerolls, right? and he actually kills the PBC with the non-relic battle cannon. So I'm like, crap, this is not good. Luckily, the Executioner is out of range of the Relic of Lost Cadia, so he shoots the Executioner in the 6 wound PBC, fails to do anything. Actually, I think he really rolled bad for the wounds or something, or failed to hit or something like that. And then the Relic Battle Cannon one shoots at it and only ends up doing 2 wounds to it, even with all of its rerolls. So, and then I actually make both saves on it, so which is really good for me, right? Because I have a PBC left. And then he goes ahead and like shoots Pask into a unit of Poxwalkers, and they die. They die a terrible, terrible death. And then his Ogryn actually fail their charge. So at this point, I think I had picked off 1 Ogryn on turn 1. And then on Morgan's side, I don't know if Thomas really killed much of consequence. Yeah. Oh yeah, and Todd is shooting like so. There's 2 basilisks actually in the corner between the 2 tables, and he's shooting his last cannons at the basilisks, and he ends up like putting 6 wounds on one, so which is good for him. But yeah, so at this point, not feeling too shabby. I'd lost a bunch of Poxwalkers. I lost 2 BBCs, and I'm a Hellforged Scorpius. Now, I kind of, sorry, so I'm going to go ahead and, I said I was going to wash the armor, but I totally don't need to put this contrast on. So yeah, our turn 2 rolls around, and I position to get a charge off on the Executioner in the corner. Yet again, ignoring the Shadow Sword, because at this point it's like just kind of, it's stuck behind a bunch of Poxwalkers, so he's either going to waste shots on Poxwalkers or he's going to have to charge them. I move a bunch of Poxwalkers up to basically charge his guardsmen that are holding a middle objective. Because if I can get them into combat and he doesn't fall back, then the Shadow Sword basically can just kind of shoot at tanks and be stuck behind some Poxwalkers. Which Todd was actually hemorrhaging CP at this point. Because he was using like all the rerolls, the Vengeance for Cadia stratagem. He used that a couple times. He tried to reroll a couple psychic tests because he kept failing his the shieldy power thing to give the +1 armor save. He kept failing that. He failed Night Shroud, or no, I canceled Night Shroud with my Deny the Witch. So stuff like that. So he was actually pretty low on CP, and I was using a lot of CP to like kind of stay alive and do things. But I had like 5 or 6 CP going into turn 2. So yeah, I position everything, and then deep strike in the Obliterators. So many people would probably go after the Shadow Sword, right? Which I could have definitely taken out the Shadow Sword. I'm pretty confident that I would have been able to. However, I was of the belief that the battle cannons needed to go, which I still firmly believe the battle cannons need to go, because that Relic battle cannon is brutal. If you let it go unchecked, man, the straight 3 damage is just, it stacks up. So I was like, okay, I need to take care of the battle cannons, and then I was in a position to charge the Executioner tank. So obviously I was like, well, I'm not going to waste any shots on that because I'm just going to charge it, and it's not going to do anything anyway. So yeah, I positioned the Obliterators, deep strike them in. Obviously use the 2 CP to make them untargetable in the next turn. And then, yeah, that's about it. So go ahead and shooting phase, or psychic phase goes off. I make a few powers. I actually failed all the buffs on the Poxwalkers. But shooting phase rolls around, and the Foul Blight spawns get to work. They end up killing all but 1 Ogryn. He rolled really, really well for his saves on that one last dude. The 4-up Invulnerables. He just refused to die. So yeah, he lived through the Foul Blight spawns. But the straight 3 damage was really good. I actually rolled reasonably well for the strength and the number of shots both times. Because I think I was wounding on 3s, rerolling 1s. The Obliterators, they do their obliteratory thing. Obviously, use Veterans of the Long War, double tap, and they actually kill both battle cannon tanks. So, I actually rolled +1 strength, -2 AP, and 3 damage both times. So, or wait, no, +2 strength, 2 AP, and 3 damage both times. So, I didn't even have to use the CP to reroll. I was ready to reroll something, but I did not need it. And yeah, they unload, and they did like 10 damage or 10 wounds to the first one, and then it was 2 damage on the relic battle cannon guy. That's right. Which I thought about rerolling to try for a 3, but I was like, no, I'll end up rolling a 1 and it'll be bad. But the first tank, I like smoke it. I think I did like 21 damage to it after his saves. The second tank, I killed it, just slightly overkilled it. Ended up doing 14 wounds to it. So killed both of them, which was good for me because I definitely needed those gone. Yeah, and then I tie up the Executioner tank. I think my Demon Prince rolled really well for his damage, but his saves were on fire. Like so many 5s and 6s. So I think I did like 6 damage to the tank or something like that. So not as good as I would have liked. Now you would think that he would have fallen back, but he chose not to with that tank because he was going to charge some characters in there and try to actually heavily wound because he was going to smite and all sorts of other stuff his next turn. And then the Poxwalkers make it into his guardsmen, and I roll really badly. Well, so this was a depleted unit. I think there was like 6 dudes left that charged in. And because they were so heavily depleted, they didn't really do anything. I think I ended up getting like 1 Poxwalker back. And he had combined squads, and they were Catachan guardmen. So even with my toughness 4, I think he still killed like 2. Which definitely wasn't unreasonable for the amount of attacks he put out. But yeah, so yeah. So getting that shiny red going, man. I'm going to actually do Nuln Oil over the red to deepen. I don't know, maybe I won't even need to. But so like I said, the trim on these I think is either, I don't know, I'm between Balthasar Gold and just doing like a plain red, you know? So red on red, shiny red with red trim. I think it would be kind of cool, you know? Different. Maybe I'll paint like the shoulder pad and see what I think about it and then go from there. Do like a test part of the model. And so there we go. So as you guys can see, contrast red over the copper actually looks pretty cool. And it's a lot deeper red than my other guys. So it's actually very, I don't know, it's warm. It's a warmer red than when I do the candied models. The candied models, actually, I do have the obliterators. Hold on, let me show you guys where they at. Yeah. So hopefully the camera picks up the subtleties, but you guys can tell like it's a lot warmer and darker and deeper, whereas the red with the candied models is very shiny. And so yeah, at this point I kind of wasn't tracking what Morgan and Thomas were doing because they were kind of having their own battle at this point and we were having our own battle. Now, like, starting this turn is when people started interacting with the other table because Thomas was actually losing a lot of dudes. He had lost all of his drones, and so Morgan was able to start actually plinking away at his Riptides. And Todd, obviously my opponent, you know, he had lost pretty much all of his tanks except for he had Pask and his Executioner tank, and his Shadow Sword. Um, so we go to Todd's next turn. So Todd thinks very heavily about what he's going to do. My last Plague Burst Crawler was basically out of line of sight because there was a building in the way from the Shadow Sword. So he positions the Shadow Sword, which at this point, right, it's got like a 72 or 100-inch gun. Actually comes into play. So he measures to the other table, and he has a line of sight and a bead on a Leman Russ. So I'm like, I'm sorry, time to hit Morgan. You're about to lose a Leman Russ. So yeah, he's got distance to that, and then his last cannons are obviously in range of basilisks, and then his heavy bolters are going to go into the poxwalkers in front of him. I want to say the poxwalkers ended up charging something else and just stringing themselves out because they were in the way of the Shadow Sword, but he couldn't shoot them because I wasn't within an inch of the Shadow Sword. I chose not to charge that damn Shadow Sword because it can actually do a lot of damage in close combat, right? With grinding advance. And so, yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to think while I'm painting. Never a good thing. So, yeah. That's kind of where Todd's at. Pask moves up, and basically he makes sure the Foul Blight Spawn is the closest visible unit. So I'll tell you, I believe I have about, so in my narrative battle report against Todd, he has been on the channel. And my Foul Blight Spawn killed Pask previously. Just mollywopped him. Because he left Pask out in the open with like -3 to hit or something like that. Yeah, because he had cast Night Shroud on it and then used, whatever. There's like a tank commander thing where you can give him -1 to hit, right? And so he's like, Pask is gonna get vengeance against this Foul Blight Spawn. And I'm like, no, he's not. He's not gonna get vengeance. Foul Blight Spawn's gonna live. And yeah, so he leaves the Executioner in combat with my my Demon Prince, which actually ends up not being a bad idea because, yeah, I'll talk about it here in a minute. But, so, yeah. What up, man? Dark Initiative. Dark Initiative. I haven't seen you around in a while, man. I think I always call you Dark Initiate. Hellhammer. Yeah, that's funny. Hey, how's it going, David? It's going well, man. I am just painting my converted Master of Executions. So I have 2 of these. And I've got to get them painted up for an Rogue Trader tournament here in January. So I'm not going to have a lot of time to paint because I'm going to Kansas City this coming week. So I'm kind of painting these until the actual live stream. And I'm talking about a 4,000 points 2 vs 2 that I had yesterday, which is a lot of fun. I'm talking about a list that I think has potential and I want to test out more. It's actually Death Guard with Alpha Legion. So, but yeah, Hellhammers are brutal. But so anyways, yeah. So Thomas's firing turn comes around. He shoots the Shadow Sword, eliminates the Leman Russ he had pointed at. Just straight kills it, and then his last cannons actually choose to not wound the Basilisk he had line of sight on. I think he hit once and then rolled a 1 for the wound. And he was out of CP at this point. I can't remember what he had blown all the CP on, but yeah, it was pretty funny because like that Basilisk should have went away. But yeah, so that happened, and then Pask. So Pask shoots 40 shots, shoots the entire Gatling cannon. Now this is where he failed. He chose to shoot the heavy bolters at, I forget. I think he shoots them at Typhus or something like that. But he splits his shot, right? And so my tip to anyone always is never split your shots. If it has to die, shoot everything at it, right? So he splits his shots and shoots 40 shots, wounds the Foul Blight Spawn like 35 times. And I pick up the dice and I'm like, okay, so I get a 3-up save and a 5-up save, right? He's like, yep. I roll it, and I failed 3 wounds. I was like, what? And then I failed all the feel no pains, but and he's like, did that just happen? I was like, yeah, you watched me roll the dice. That just happened. Which, okay, so granted, oh no, maybe he didn't wound that many times. No, he didn't. It was like 20 times. Because, toughness 5 and the gun is strength 5. But, yeah, it wasn't 35. I was thinking, like, he had re-rolled all the wounds and stuff, but he didn't. But anyways, so the Foul Blightspawn lives through Pask's Executioner, or Punisher Gatling Cannon. And he's like, crap, I should have shot the heavy bolters at him, too. And I was like, yep, you should have. So, yeah, then he, like, shoots a bunch of, like, random pistols at the Foul Blightspawn. He's desperate to kill this damn thing. It doesn't die. And, yeah, so on my side of the table, as a matter of fact, he doesn't end up killing, like, anything. I think he ends up killing, like, a few cultists with some random heavy bolters or something like that. But, really good turn for me. I end up killing, like, the rest of his Ogryn. End up killing... So the next turn, I end up killing the Executioner. I end up killing the rest of the Ogryn. I end up killing like 2 headquarters, and it kind of boils down from there. Yes, the pistols are free, David. They're 0 points, so you can actually put 2 on the, I think it's the Sergeant or whatever they call it, the Champion. So he gets 2 flamers for 0 points. And you know what? They're not terrible. The 6-inch range is kind of meh, but I've ran into situations where the 6-inch range is kind of it's bitten me in the ass. But yeah, they're not bad. They're not bad. So, all right. So like I said, I'm gonna try red on red. I don't know how it's gonna look now that I'm looking at it. I really don't think I'm gonna like it, but let's see. Let's see how it looks. Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like it at all. All right. We're going to cancel that. But yeah, the Champion can have 2, and then all your other guys can have 1, and you don't have to substitute anything out, so it's just basically like a free weapon, So, take it. Take it all. All right, so I'm not doing red. I don't want to do black for the trim. Oh yeah, the squad is fantastic. I actually really like them. Let's see. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I'll do Balthasar Gold because that's the trim that I've used on every other thing in the army. So I need to actually buy more Balthasar Gold. I've only got like that much in the pot left. So no, Death Shroud are actually very, very good. I like them. And so the game ends up. Not gonna go through like the rest of the turns. But Thomas actually ends up coming over to our table with his Tau Commander, and his Riptide starts shooting onto our table because Todd has no way to handle pretty much the right half of the table. My Obliterators are kind of going unchecked, and so Thomas has to come over and actually start shooting the Obliterators and tries to help out. In the end, so my Dark Apostle this whole time, I forgot he was on the bottom of a building. After the Hillforge Scorpius that he was buffing died, I just completely forgot he existed. Would he have done anything else? He might have went and killed a bunch of guardsmen, so I kind of wish I had gotten him out of that building, and I would have killed that guard squad a lot quicker. But, yeah, so in the end of the game, me and Morgan actually end up running away with the game. I think it was actually pretty much a landslide victory. So it was kind of fun because a lot of turns ended up being like 17, 18-point turns for both sides because, you're calculating all these points for holding the 2-point objectives and the 1-point objectives. And it actually very much exemplified holding those middle objectives. That actually ends up being a critical point in the game. And yeah, my army luckily was very good at holding the middle of the table. Todd's army actually wasn't very bad at it either. It's just he kind of sat back and just fired at me the whole time. So, which that's kind of, if that's how you play guard, that's how you play guard. He was very immobile guard, but Griffin Gold trim, yeah, Griffin Gold's not bad too. I don't typically do, like, gold's kind of bright. I like Balthasar because it's very dark, and I like the grittier look on my models, And so I've done Balthasar Gold for the rest of the army, so I'm just going to kind of carry it through to these guys. Now, I'm obviously doing a different style because I candied the rest of the models. These guys I'm doing the contrast red over copper, as opposed to previously I was doing Retributor Gold with the Tamaya red over it. But yeah, I actually really enjoy just shiny models in general. I like it a lot. And I'm going to wash this entire model with Nuln Oil when I'm done. With the armor trim, anyway. But no, Death Shroud are super playable right now. The biggest issue they have, and it's the same issue that Blightspawn, Blightlord Terminators have right now. It's the fact that they have a 4-inch move, and things exist in the game right now that have your movement. Now, it wouldn't be such an issue if it was just like psychic powers or something, because there's a lot of psychic powers that have movement that are very popular. Doombolt. I can't remember the Space Marine one. There's a Space Marine one that has your movement. But Thunderfire Cannons. So with Thunderfire Cannons running around everywhere, I can't justify running my beloved Blightlord Terminators. Oh, okay. Yeah, I might have to get some of that eventually. Actually, in the new year, I'm looking at... so I've been buying a lot of models lately with pretty much every spare penny I've gotten. Either the books for the channel or, more models to test out some of this new Faith and Fury stuff. But in the new year, I've kind of resolved, because looking at my paint collection and my paint brushes... they're looking kind of sparse and shaggy. So in the new year, I'm actually going to go and purchase a lot of new paint and a lot of new brushes. I'm basically going to revamp all my brushes. Maybe I can find like a sponsor for brushes. But yeah. So I definitely need new brushes. But yeah, back to the Death Shroud and Blightlord Terminator thing. Oh, I think David left. He was here and then he's gone. Oh well. Oh well. But I guess I can keep talking about it, even though nobody's here. So yeah, that's kind of the reason why Blightlord Terminators and Death Shroud are kind of in a bad spot, is because of those models existing, Thunderfire Cannons especially neuter the Blightlord Terminators real bad, because having their movement is awful. Now, Blightlord Terminators are fantastic because, they've got a crap load of bolter shots they can put down. But, yet again, Marines to the rescue. They cannot dig out Marines in cover at all. Like, they're probably not... They'll be lucky to kill a dude with the number of shots they put out. And then, on top of it, Stealthy exists. So, if Stealthy wasn't a thing, I could probably make a case for Blightlord Terminators again. Just because, if somebody's got their Marines out in the open, you could still, kill a few of them. Because Blightlord Terminators typically are very good at killing one unit with their bolters and then charging in and killing another unit with their close combat, And prior to Thunderfire cannons becoming super popular, if they failed their charge, it wasn't that big of a deal because they could weather pretty much a whole army's firepower and then get a second turn to like charge something else. Because with good positioning, you could keep them in the game. But Thunderfire cannons, turning them into movement 2, like anything in the game can escape you at that point, Even if you roll double, like you'd have to roll double 6s to probably charge anything at that point. Because they're just going to scooch away from you and then just unload into you, and then whatever's left is going to just be useless, But I do love my Blightlord Terminators, and I can't wait to put them back on the field. So I'm hoping Faith and Fury gives us something to combat that. Not Faith and Fury. I keep calling it Faith and Fury, goddammit. Psychic Awakening. I hope Death Guard gets something from Psychic Awakening to combat the fact that they're slow, Whether it be something where you get 3d6 out of the Deep Strike with Death Shroud and Blight Lords, that'd be amazing. Oh my god, that'd be so good. You would see me be running Blight Lords all day long. But we'll see. I mean, now my one question, I thought the Blood Angels, their little +1 to wound thing was their chapter trait, and people are telling me that they get that chapter trait plus the new chapter trait, which seems kind of weird because Flesh Terrors have the +1 to wound thing, and it's just really odd to me that they would give them +1 to wound, and then the Blood Angels have +1 to wound and +1 attack and +1 to charges. Like, it just seems really odd. You know what I mean? It'll be interesting to see what comes out of the FAQ on that, because I think that what's in the book was meant to replace what was in the supplement, or what was in Psychic Awakening was meant to replace what was in the actual codex. Now, obviously, they want you to still use like the stratagems and relics and warlord traits, but I think the chapter trait was meant to replace it. So I'll be interested to see what comes out of that FAQ. After seeing what the Blood Angels got, it's hard not to be salty as a Chaos player, It's like, y'all did the Marine workup on them. And same with Tyranids. Like, you look at what the Tyranids got, and you're like, say what? Like, and the Eldar and everybody. So it kind of makes me feel like we're all getting new codexes, and these are kind of like a stopgap. But I'm going to be kind of upset if we don't, like, when they start rolling out new codexes, if they don't go digital, where like it's the free digital updates sort of thing, because spending $40 for a book just to use it for like a year and then have it overridden is kind of shitty, you know what I mean? And it feels bad because a lot of people, especially if you're trying to start this game and you find out, oh, well, I need this book and my codex, and then you go out and buy them, and then here in a few months a new codex comes out, and you're like, well, what? Now I gotta buy this new codex? What happened to my old codex? Like, I've only been playing for like a year. Welcome to G-Dubs, man. Welcome to G-Dubs. So right now I am putting the Balthasar Gold on all the armor trim of this Master of Executions Repmeal. And I'll show you guys the results here in a moment. So I've got 45 minutes until the live stream, the actual live stream. Gotta keep an eye on the clock, that way I don't lose track of time. But I'm gonna get out of here in like a half an hour, at the half an hour mark so I could take a break before the actual live stream. But yeah, so I'm really looking forward to. So we get Thousand Suns in January, which will be awesome. And then we get, that's all we know about. Obviously, Death Guard's coming in one of the other 2 books that they've announced, probably. So I think everybody's already guessed that the third one, what is it, like, something of the Beasts or whatever, it's probably going to be Orcs versus Space Wolves. Which actually, the name of that book is actually very fitting to Orcs vs. Space Wolves. I like that. I can't remember the other factions that are supposed to be getting Faith and Fury rules, you know? We've gotten Eldar, we've gotten Dark Eldar, we've gotten half the Chaos Legions, we're getting Thousand Suns, Dark Angels, and Grey Knights in the next book. Which, by the way, I lost 2 Dark Angels. Spoiler alert. Or not Dark Angels, Grey Knights. Spoiler alert. I'm a terrible player, according to my friends. So, but I'm going to talk all about that. Oh, hey, how's it going, Justin? Nice to see you again, man. No, I was just kind of talking about how it would feel bad, you know, as a new player, because you said that you just started Death Guard, right? Like, if you're a brand new guy to 40k, you know, and you go out and buy your codex just to have a new codex come out. So I was kind of making a point that GW kind of needs to go to the digital books with free PDF updates or free updates, like via app, like a lot of the wargaming companies are doing now. This whole, you know, going through and buying all these books all the time is because I would much rather spend, you know, 10, 20 bucks, like, even if it's a subscription service for like $10 a month, I would much rather have that, because then they're going to sell a lot more models, you know, and then we don't have to wait for rules updates or points changes or anything like that. If there's an obvious issue with a unit or whatever, then they can just go in and change the actual codex, you know? And even with that app, you know, they can have like a list builder app. Everybody uses Battlescribe. I have not met anybody that does not build their lists in Battlescribe anymore. Like, it's just, it is the way of the world now. So GW needs to kind of get with the times, you know what I mean? And get their own version of like Battlescribe. Even if they hire the dudes who do Battlescribe to make them an app that's similar. But like, it's just, I don't know. The way GW's like composing themselves right now, it's very questionable. It just makes you wonder, like, why do they do some of the things they do, you know? But I was kind of talking about Death Guard, and I'm wondering which book, because we're going to get some Psychic Awakening stuff. I'm wondering which book it's going to be in. And I was kind of thinking, you know, I don't think it's going to be in that third book, the Beasts book, because that's going to be Space Wolves and Orcs, right? I don't know. I'm just interested to figure out. I mean, we might be in that book. The Greater Good book is Tau, and people don't really know what's going to be in that book with them. So at this point, we've gotten the contrast red over copper, and I've done all the Balthasar gold on the trim of this guy. So this is one of my 2 converted Master of Executions, and I'm going to go ahead and start on the next one. So I only have like another 15 minutes till I got to get off. Like I said, I'm going to take a break before the actual live stream. But I'll be back to paint after that, so if you guys want to hang out, talk about whatever after the live stream. But yeah, I'm curious to see when we get Death Guard rules. I hope it's in, like, it would make sense actually to do it in the Greater Good book, because there's a lot of artwork of Tau versus Death Guard. You know, the ever famous Typhus holding the Fire Warrior up by his face. That's a good piece of artwork, you know. But yeah. And I was talking about some things that I would love to see out of the Death Guard book. So as an example, a way for Blight Lords and Death Shroud to get a more consistent charge. So whether it be, you know, Death Guard Terminators get a stratagem where it's like 1 CP and you get a 3d6 charge. Or because if you just do Terminators, it makes sense. So, oh, what up, Valentine? So for the Balthazar gold, I actually use. It's like a medium. It's not a super light gold. It's like a medium gold. I can't remember the name of it right now. Let's see if I have the pot still. I think that's it. Actually, I use Sycorax bronze. I actually use bronze over gold. But that's for Balthasar gold. So, because Balthasar is the super, super dark one that's almost like brown. But I really like it on my models. I don't know. I'm a very gritty. I love gritty looking models and darker looking models. I think the brighter colors and stuff, like, I can do brighter colors, obviously, like you guys saw me do the Lord of Change. But I think that's kind of relegated to certain models. Or if you do, I think dry brushing lends itself airbrushing lends itself very well to bright colors. Because obviously you can do like super high highlights. But yeah. But yeah, I'd like to see that for Death Guard. I think that'd be a lot of fun. 3d6 charge stratagem for the Terminators only. Plague Marines. Let's see, what could Plague Marines get? I think Plague Marines should have a stratagem, and this could be even a Death Guard one that's similar to what the Iron Hands got with the +1 to feel no pain rolls for a single unit. I think that would be really cool for some Plague Marines, you know? Like 1 CP, this unit gets +1 to all discussing and resilient rolls for this turn or something like that. A, that's fluffy, and B, it's not broken if you limit it to like just infantry models or something, you know? That would actually be amazing on Terminators too. That would actually be very, very, very good on some Blight Lord Terminators. But yeah, limit it to infantry, because then that way you can't use it on your Plague Burst Crawlers, you can't use it on anything crazy. Because trust me, I would abuse the hell out of that with the Separating Plate Prince. Like, I would always save a CP to use that on him. Yesterday he lived through a 4 Fusion Blasters, Executioner tank overwatching into him. It actually took another fusion, or it took the Riptide. The Riptide actually had to finish him off. He wasted his big cannon into him because he's like, this has to die this turn. Yet again, an example of never split fire, because he kept split firing stuff, and like the small arms fire just bounces off the Demon Prince, you know, with the Separating Plate and Feel No Pains. And that's what was happening. He's like, I'm going to shoot these Fire Wars at him. Yep, no wounds. I'm going to shoot this at him. Yep, no wounds. You got to shoot something bigger at him with some AP. Like, but yeah, it's pretty funny. But yeah, +1 to Disgustingly Resilience would be freaking cool. That'd be a cool stratagem. Maybe a stratagem that... So, we have the auto explosion stratagem, and Death Guard's all about mortal wounds. Maybe something that doubles the amount of mortal wounds on an explosion or something like that. Like, instead of D3, it's D6 when it explodes. That'd be really cool. We need stronger. No, we don't, Justin. Oh my god. No, we don't. Seriously, if they buff Plague Burst Crawlers anymore... Oh my god, I love Plague Burst Crawlers. They're so good. I do agree, though, Entropy Cannons need a rework. Definitely. Whether it be they give them +1 more shot each, or they give us access to Lord Discordance, so that way they're more reliable. Or Warlord trait, where you can give +1 to hit for vehicle models or something like that. Give us a reason to take something other than Flamers. Death Guard are really good at circumventing like the problems with Demon Engines, like low ballistic skill and all that, because we have all the Flamers in the world. And I will say, I love running my Flamers. I absolutely love running my Flamers. Foul Blight Spawns are still my favorite unit in the game. Yesterday reaffirmed why I love Foul Blight Spawns so much. They stripped 18 wounds off of a Shadow Sword, and they refused to die. So he shot like numerous heavy bolters into a 1 wound Foul Blight Spawn, and he just refused to die. And it forced the Shadow Sword to actually charge my Foul Blight Spawns multiple times. That Shadow Sword would have been dead had I rolled reasonably well for the thing, but he just like refused to shoot anything. I think he started shooting las cannons at them. But at that point, I had tiered the Shadow Sword, and it was hitting on 5s. So like it would just miss, and then it would charge. And Shadow Swords naturally hit on 5s with their tracks. But once you start tiering it, it's hitting a lot less often. And then instead of wounding on 2s against most things, it wounds on 3s. So Foul Blight Spawns were actually living through everything, and it was hilarious. I don't really... in colder weather, yeah. Do it in your garage. Wait for a warm day. Yeah, I don't really know, man. So, like, North Carolina has cold days, but most days it's like 60 to 70 out. It has high humidity. But honestly, I just take my models outside and I prime them. I throw the primer on them, and then I put them on a tray. So I let them sit for like... I have a mobile tray, so if you can spray them outside, you know what I mean, and then bring them into like your garage or somewhere like that and just let them sit for a little while, I think you'll be all right. As a matter of fact, I sprayed these guys on a rainy day yesterday. I just waited until the weather cleared up enough to go outside, sprayed them, and then I brought the whole tray inside to let them dry. And they turned out pretty good. I did a little bit of overspray. Like a few of these guys have their details are kind of mucked up. And I didn't realize it when I was spraying them, but I realized it afterwards. But it is what it is, right? But that's my recommendation. I always like to spray on something that I can carry around. So my spray table is actually a bunch of beer crates that I got from Germany. I brought all the beer back in the crates, and I've had these crates for years, and they were sitting in my garage, and I was like, you know what, I can make a spray table out of them. So I just put a cardboard box on top of it, and then just put the models up there and spray paint them. So, and I could just grab the beer crates and move them inside after I'm done spraying. So, because I've seen people have some horrible the paint gets all crazy because of the high humidity, because it thins it down and makes it run real bad. As a matter of fact, my master possession kind of has that a little bit. So But it's not bad. It's enough. Like, as a matter of fact, I was talking to somebody the other day, and he paints pretty well, and he's like, you don't have to prime like normal plastic models, right? He said it's mostly for resin. It's just people. It's good for getting like a nice coat over it to get like an underlayer, depending on what you're trying to do. Um, like black's really good at darkening up the colors you put on top of it. So it's really up to you. But yeah, I prime everything white. I go to Walmart and buy like, I think it's Rust-Oleum or Krylon or something like that. Now, cheap spray paint does have its issues. Like my Lord of Change got really gritty. Like there's something wrong with that spray can because that's the only time I've ever had that happen. But I just washed it off, like rubbed a bunch of it off, and yeah. Oh no, no, okay. Yeah, no, it's that's how I do it. I go out whenever the weather's clear. I mean, if it's cold or whatever, just go out, spray them, and then just bring them in your garage so that way the heat from your garage keeps them out of the elements, and then so like when I did these guys yesterday when it was raining outside, I sprayed them like in the lull between storms or whatever. Sprayed them, put the thing inside of right inside the back door in our kitchen and let them sit there for like, I don't know, 30, 40 minutes. And then I put them on a tray and brought them up into my paint room and then put them all on the table and then took the next load down and did the same thing. So basically that way they didn't get rained on. I got them primed up and then I let them sit all day up here. I didn't touch them. And yeah, it worked out pretty well. So, I mean, you could spray in your garage too if you opened up the garage doors and got the cars out of there. I always recommend not spray painting around your cars because, especially if the wind picks up, it's gonna like carry it and touch your cars. That'd be bad. Alrighty. What time is it? Alright. Yeah, I got like another 15 minutes and then I gotta get going. And I'll be back for the actual live stream. But these guys are turning out really nice. I like them. I like them a lot. I need to get them done for this tournament, so I'm going to be pressing hard. So I want to have them done before I go on leave. 'Tis the goal, right? 'Tis the goal. So what else do I want from Death Guard in the new rules? Let's see. So we talked about Terminators. Talked about maybe a disgusting resilient thing. I would love to have something that like doubles your wounds or something when you explode, because a lot of Death Guard vehicles explode on lower dice rolls than normal. It actually takes a lot of people by surprise. Now it's bad, obviously, when like your Plague Burst crawlers in your back lines and you roll an explosion. I actually usually save a CP to re-roll that sort of stuff. But, let's see. What else could we get? I would love a plague weapon for our demon princes. Like, seriously. The fact that our demon princes don't have a plague weapon is kind of bogus. Like, absolutely bogus. It could even be a relic. Or I can spend a CP to turn somebody's weapon into a plague weapon, because we do have several units that don't have plague weapons. So that'd be a kind of cool stratagem. Spend 1 CP to, pick a model or unit in your army. All melee weapons become plague weapons or something. I would almost argue that you could do ranged weapons, but then that's open to a lot of abuse because then we have plague bolters. Oh, that'd be fun though. Ooh, plague bolters. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see. Death Guard is my favorite army by far. I would definitely definitely love to be able to run mono Death Guard and feel like I'm not gimping myself, you know? So that'd be kind of cool. I would like definitely some more Warlord traits and relics to use. While I love the ones that so the relics we have are awful. That's why you see people just run Separating Plate all the time, because like we have that sword, which isn't bad, but who the hell runs a Chaos Lord that's going to get in close combat, you know? The Fulgaris' helm isn't terrible, but I'm not going to use I've tried to use it multiple times because I'm like, oh, well, you know, I want to increase my Arch Contaminator range to 9 inches. But I always feel like I'm missing the Separating Plate. Like, the Separating Plate is just so good, it's hard to not take it, you know? That Demon Prince combo, like, people hate facing it because it is so difficult. Like, I've even faced it and I hate facing it. So, it's just so difficult to remove. Especially if you give them the 4-up Feel No Pains. The 4-up Feel No Pain Warlord trait, which is hilarious. It's just you can't take it against mortal wounds, which sucks, but nothing like somebody shooting you with a las cannon, rolling a 2 or 3 for the damage, and then you ignore half the wounds. So that'd be kind of cool. I kind of would argue that it'd be neat to have like a stratagem that you can have all damage on a unit in the Death Guard, so it could be a vehicle or whatever. But that would also be super open to abuse for the Blightlord Terminators, because then I could be like, well, have all damage to these Blightlords. Oh, and I got my 4-up Invulnerable save and my 5-up Feel No Pain. Like, you're not going to hurt me. You got those plasma guns over there? Yeah, they're not going to do anything to me. Because Blightlords are already very, very good against small arms fire. But then to make them functionally immune to plasma, that'd be kind of. But I guess if they limited it to vehicles, like have all damage to a vehicle or something like that, that wouldn't be too bad. I mean, then we could run Leviathan Dreadnoughts and be invulnerable for a turn. I would definitely like to see their Legion trait change. In my discussions with multiple people on this topic, I would like to see it change to models that models gain the Disgustingly Resilient key rule. So what that would do is it would definitely fix a lot of issues with our vehicles and give us more options, you know? Because right now, everybody takes everything that... The vehicles that you see in Death Guard are always the ones that have a Feel No Pain, right? You're never going to see a Death Guard Defiler. You're never going to see a Death Guard... what else can we take? No, we can't take Mauler Fiends. Or Forge Fiends. But anyways, but if you were able to give Disgustingly Resilient to things that normally don't have it, that'd be really cool. It's fluffy, and yes, I know that it could be easily open to abuse because there's some things in the game that I don't think were balanced around it, but you can fix that, right? You can definitely, and then that also fixes our problem with all of our headquarters that aren't Death Guard only. Not having Feel No Pain. So, all right. So we've gotten the armor done and we've gotten the trim done on both of these guys. Now I'm going to go ahead and head out for the next 10 minutes. Come back for the actual live stream. But I will be back after that to paint. So if you guys want to hang out after that, feel free. I will reopen the paint stream and I'll be here till these guys are done. This is my goal today. I have to finish these two. So I'm going to be right back. Stay tuned for the actual stream. So see you guys in a couple minutes.